The Matrix is here, ladies and gentlemen. Check out this article from DARPA. In March 2016, DARPA announced the Targeted Neuroplasticity Training Program, TNT. What is TNT? It's an effort to enlist the body's peripheral nervous system to achieve something that has long been considered the brain's domain alone: facilitation of learning. Now, work on TNT has now begun. The essential wide-ranging program is to identify optimal and safe neurostimulation methods for activating synaptic plasticity, a natural process in the brain pivotal to learning that involves the strengthening or weakening of the junctions between two neurons. Then build those methods into enhanced training regimens that accelerate the acquisition of cognitive skills. So TNT was inspired by recent research showing that stimulation of certain peripheral nerves can activate regions of the brain involved with learning. Such signals can potentially trigger synaptic plasticity. Synaptic plasticity, say that 3 times, and then do it backwards really quick, by releasing neurochemicals that reorganize neural connections in response to specific experiences. TNT researchers will strive to identify the physiological mechanisms that might allow this natural process to be enhanced using electrical stimulation of peripheral nerves, making the brain more adaptive during key points in the learning process. So, let me add to that. What does that essentially mean for somebody that maybe never heard that term before? You probably have an understanding of it. But essentially, they're going to use chemicals and technologies to alter the brain to literally embed coding and messages in your brain, like downloading something like you would see on the Matrix, where you could essentially download a language in a matter of seconds. Now, remember how Elon Musk came out recently talking about the Neuralink, and there was a comment that some people looked at as he was essentially saying if people don't start to augment themselves with technologies, then they're going to become obsolete. Well, this right here is the wave of the future. This is the new smartphone, literally hooking yourself up to the cloud and being able to download enormous amounts of information in milliseconds. This is crazy, you guys. Now, I'm going to show you in the next podcast actual gold nanorods that bounce around in cells, literally dance around in cells that move via ultrasounds. And then we're going to get into cinematics and talk about how you can influence matter with sound. So think about that. We're also going to get into self-replicating DNA and DNA computers that make the D-Wave computer look like an old 8-bit Macintosh or Atari. Macintoshes are cool. Synaptic plasticity is the biological process which specific patterns of synaptic activity result in changes in synaptic strength and is thought to contribute to learning and memory. Both presynaptic and postsynaptic mechanisms can contribute to the expression of synaptic plasticity. You ever hear the saying before, every time you learn something new, a new ridge is created in your brain? Well, imagine a technology that could imprint literally enormous amounts of data into the brain simultaneously. We're talking gigabytes, beyond gigabytes of information. Elon Musk launches Neuralink, a venture to merge the human brain. Now, what's neat about what DARPA's doing, let's jump back to the TNT research here for a minute. DARPA's taken what they've done before with helping people that have certain neurological problems and mental disorders with this technology. They're taking it to the next level, and now they're going to use it to boost people. Imagine what this can do for super soldiers in the military. Imagine being a spy or a special forces agent and being able to know every single language in the world. Like not even break a sweat. I think that would be awesome. And some people say there's no way I would do it. Well, I'll do it. I'll hook myself up to a machine and download all the languages. Why not? Now, that begs the question, why not? Now, there better be some safeguards. I'm going to make sure that all my T's are crossed and I's are dotted. And I'm not normally good at doing that, but if I was to go that far down the rabbit hole and actually plug myself into a Neuralink to where I could download enormous amounts of information in milliseconds, you better make sure that you've got some firewalls set up and you're not downloading any viruses. Now, let me add to that for a second. It's sematics. It's just incredible. You guys should look up sematics. You can create these incredible pieces of art with sound. It's literally making sound visible through sematics or through vibrational frequencies. Where was I? Here we go, right here. Nearly 1 million new malware threats released every single day. And this is 2 years ago. So if you're going to start hooking yourself up to the machine, you better have some darn good precautionary measures and safety guards to protect your brain. Because imagine what could be downloaded into your brain that way. I mean, people think they have it bad if they own a PC. Imagine what happens when your brain's hooked up to the Borg. What goes on then? You could have China hacking into your brain saying that you're in the mood for, I don't know, soy sauce biscuits or something, with formaldehyde in them that directly come from the pits of a specific industrial dump in China, and they try and get rid of it, so they'll make you think it tastes good. Must taste great. You must love fluoride soy sauce. It is so good for you, and the melamine in the milk. Oh, the melamine in the milk is my favorite. You remember that when they found melamine in milk and plastic rice from China? So, well, I mean, the United States has done stuff worse than that, so, I mean, we can't give them too hard of a time, but gotta poke fun at something, right? I'm poking fun at myself, okay? I make fun of myself all the time. So, I'm how do I put this? No holding out on I'll make fun of just about anything as long as it's in good fun and not harsh or trying to be rude or crude or anything like that. I mean, I poke fun at myself all the time. So people sometimes will leave comments in the comments section about how I supposedly critique God, which far from it. I ask some silly questions sometimes, but I critique myself more than just about anybody, I would say. So protect yourselves. How soon before people are walking around with these, smartphones literally connected to their head? The headset is drilled into their brain via some Neuralink, or will it just be wireless? Will they be able to do it that way without the intrusions, or do they take it to the next level? And when will we start seeing that? Let me go back to. I want to talk a little bit about the when I first started playing Nintendos back in the day. Let's say, what was that? 30 years ago. I saw the future of video games being what they are now. And I see the future of technologies being man merged with machine, woman merged with machine. And you're going to have people that, I think most people are just going to adopt it, kind of like they did the cell phone and credit cards and ATM machines. I don't think there's going to be any forcing people to do it. Now, you're going to have those that won't want to be a part of that, and I think that's awesome. I mean, certainly that's wonderful. Yet I think that it's going to be the kind of industry that's going to revolutionize the world so much that it's going to be very similar to the Matrix. And it's going to be hard not to take one of these things if you're not getting into certain moral issues, because I know how there's many people that will have certain moral issues, and maybe 5-10 years ago, well, maybe not 5 years ago, but 10 years ago, I would have looked at it differently also, as far as morally, like, is this a sin to augment myself with technology? Yet, let's think about this. How many people eat certain foods and exercise and do specific practices of specific, certain things to better themselves? Whether it be you've got a specific pendant on, maybe you're wearing certain clothes or certain shoes, or you listen to certain hypnotic music or something like that. Whatever it is that you do, most people are wanting to improve themselves. So is it any different hooking yourself up to a machine? Maybe. I don't know. I really don't know. And I'll tell you another thing. If I go back to 2010 time frame, my biggest fear back then for not only myself and friends and family, but just life and humankind in general, and virtually everything that's that's natural and native. One of my biggest fears was this transhuman movement and the singularity and machines becoming so much greater than man that they just usurp man up, literally like the Matrix or the Terminator, but even far above and beyond that. There was a movie that I saw, an X-Men movie, not the last one, but the one before that, where the singularity and the machine become so great that they take out the X-Men like they're cockroaches with giant tanks. I mean, these things just get so badass that not even the X-Men can take them. Not even close. I mean, they just wipe them out. There's no big deal. It's like, next, you are destroyed. Borg, yeah. So, with that said, at least if we can connect to the machine, a certain machine, if there's certain precautionary measures, and the morals don't take us down some dark rabbit hole of darkness and wickedness and evil, and if we could use it for good, maybe that could be a way to offset the singularity. Because if you could merge man and machine, then it could become far greater than just machine. Now, obviously, before we were tampered with, which I think that our bodies were tampered with, I don't know if it's 100,000 years ago, a million years ago, 1,000 years ago, certainly feel it's been tampered with over the past few hundred years with the foods and the medicines, especially over the past 50 years, and the vaccines and the stuff that's in there, and the environment. And not only that, but just everything people see in programming and TV. Not everything, but a lot of stuff people see. So let's take all of that and think about the possibilities of maybe back at one particular time, we were so spiritually, mentally, and physically in tune with everything that we were far greater than any machine ever could be, being in the organic form. Even greater than man and machine could be, no matter how great they were combined together. Maybe at one point, the organic life essence was so far above and beyond that, but because of just the not digression, but just the dumbing down, the idiocracy effect of becoming further and further away from the apex of divinity, essentially, and just denser and denser and denser. Maybe the way back to that would be to merge with the machine. What are your thoughts? What happens if we're in a society that, in order to even just compete and function with everybody else, you had to plug yourself in? Would you do it? Or would you run out into the hills? Would you join a monastery? What will you do if that's the wave of the future and you don't comply and you don't assimilate to that? Is that the mark of the beast? Is the mark of the beast just something that was made up to create fear? Is the mark of the beast something that happened 2,000 years ago around the Julius Caesar's time? Was that the mark of the beast? So many questions, right? So many questions. The more answers I come up with, the more questions I have. It's like for every answer, I come up with 2 more questions. What about you? We can use your support at leakproject.com, and also our sponsors, getthetea.com, the best colostrum in the industry. I love this stuff. I've been taking it now for a few weeks. I've got tons of energy, and my food has been digesting really well. That's my shameless plug. Just being here, listening to these podcasts is supporting us, so I thank you for that. Please share these far and wide. Share them on Facebook, on Twitter, if there's specific forums you go to, far and wide. Please, thank you so much. Thank you for being here with me. Question everything and be the change you want to see. It has long been considered the brain's domain alone. Facilitation of learning. Now, work on TNT has now begun. The essential wide-ranging program is to identify optimal and safe neurostimulation methods for activating synaptic that reorganize neural connections in response to specific experiences. TNT researchers will strive to identify the physiological mechanisms that might allow this natural process to be enhanced using electrical stimulation of peripheral nerves, making the brain more plasticity. A natural process in the brain pivotal to learning that involves the strengthening or weakening of the junctions between 2 neurons, then build those methods into enhanced training regimens that accelerate the acquisition of cognitive skills. So TNT was The Matrix is here, ladies and gentlemen. Check out this article from DARPA. In March 2016, DARPA announced the Targeted Neuroplasticity Training Program, TNT. What is TNT? It's an effort to enlist the body's peripheral nervous system to achieve something inspired by recent research showing that stimulation of certain peripheral nerves can activate regions of the brain involved with learning. Such signals can potentially trigger synaptic plasticity. Synaptic plasticity, say that 3 times, and then do it backwards really quick, by releasing neurochemical